Okay, this morning we're going to interview Chuck Sheppard, and Chuck was a training pilot in World War II for P-40s and P-51s, among other planes. Chuck, tell me...
Mostly it's the AT-6. In other words, they
and
took all their their advanced training in the AT-6, and then when they finished their AT-6 training, then we went into a transition into P-40s or
Okay.
P-51.
How is it you got interested in flying in the first place?
Oh, I started, I guess, when I was 15 years old.
Where was that?
That was in Niagara Falls, New York.
Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, and I started out as going out to the airport and washing airplanes to get flying time, and I finally sold it when I was 15.
Oh. What kind of an airport was that?
It was just a small
Did they have grass fields?
grass and runways.
Both, yeah.
And
what were your favorite planes at that time? What were you?
at that time, I think it was a Piper Cub or
Yeah.
a Ronca or something like that.
Did you get to go up with anyone at the time?
Oh yeah, and as a matter of fact, they for doing the chores you did of washing airplanes, they give you so much flying time a week or something.
Oh.
So we ended up getting all my dual time in and solo time, and I remember Grand Island was just above the falls there, and we used to go over there and shoot landings in one of the vacant fields. And
so what year was this we're talking about?
that was
more or
about
less?
35, 36, something like that.
Right. Uh-huh. So then you were in high school at the time?
Yeah.
When you did it. And so then what did you do after you got out of high school?
Well, when I was in high school, there was 10 of us got together, and we bought a Piper Cub.
Oh.
And back in those days, you could buy a brand new Piper Cub for a little over $900. So we put in $100 a piece and bought a Piper Cub, and then we would charge ourselves a couple of dollars an hour for flying time, which we would put into a kitty to take care of the maintenance. And so we built up quite a bit of time. And then I got a scholarship at Niagara University. Took me through a commercial pilot. And about that time, the war broke out, and then I went into cadets and had to learn to fly all over again. Even though
So
I-
you joined the was it the Army Air Corps?
Air
then?
Force, mm.
Air Force. Yeah.
Army Air Force.
Right. And right. Well, tell me, what were you doing on December 7th, 1941? Do you recall?
1941.
At Pearl Harbor, when Pearl Harbor was
I
attacked.
was just thinking about going into the Air Force about that time, because I went in 42.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I went down and signed up, and
Yeah.
and a friend of our two friends I had in high school, they we were flying together at the time. They were in the same club, and they wanted to get in the Air Force too, but they had a little. First, we went to the Navy and took the Navy exam, and I passed that, and they didn't pass it. And so we wanted to stay together, so I went down and we took the Army exam. So then we were all accepted in the Army, so I went that way, and the Navy called me. I said, well, I'm already in the Army. And they got real mad because I had switched over without letting them know.
Oh.
Because I had taken the tests, and physical and psychological, and all the rest of tests.
So where did you go to your training, first training part?
Oh, Maxwell Field.
Maxwell.
Mhm.
And
That was in pre-flight.
And that's in Alabama.
Alabama.
Uh-huh.
And from then
What did you fly down there in pre-flight?
that was just a pre-flight school.
Okay.
And from there we went to Jackson, Mississippi, which was primary. We flew 17s. I mean,
PT-17s.
PT-17s.
Yeah, the cadets.
right. And that was a really good airplane, good acrobatic airplane. Liked that a lot.
Right.
And then from there we went to Jackson. That was in Jackson, Mississippi. We flew them. Then we went there to. We flew the Vultee Vibrator, which is a looks a lot like an AT-6, but it's a fixed gear stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then from there we went to Craigfield.
And where was that?
That was in Alabama.
No,
Selma.
Oh, okay.
Selma, Alabama, and flew that.
Now, were you married at the time?
Yeah.
at this time?
No, I wasn't married until after I graduated.
Uh-huh.
And after I got my wings and commission, and I selected me as an instructor, I figured, well, I'd maybe get married, because we'd been going together since we were in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And so she came down to Alabama with my mother and for graduation, and after that I came back to Niagara Falls, and we got married, and we went back on a train, and she, my wife, followed me around through the service.
Right.
Yeah.
What was your class?
43E.
43.
43E.
43E.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because the 43 is the year, and the letter is the month. Is
Right.
that correct?
Mhm.
So it was the
Right.
fifth month,
Mhm.
which would be what, May,
It'd
I
be
guess.
May 28th,
Mhm.
1943.
So it was a pretty happy day for you then.
Yeah, it was it, and we had a lot of good times, and I was a little wild back in those days, and I had some good cadets, and I wanted to teach them right, so when they got overseas, they know what to do. So,
Yeah.
but we'd take them on low altitude missions and things, and where you were supposed to stay above 1,000 feet, and we'd get down in the Alabama River once in a while and fly around the river and at a real low altitude, and like, because when you went on a strafing mission, you got to come in real low to keep out of the radar sight.
Mhm.
And about that time, I think we were doing a lot of crazy maneuvers down in the river and stuff. And I got back, I got a call from the colonel, and the tower said he wants to see you in the office as soon as you land. So I said, I figured I knew it was up, you know. So he went in and I reported in, and he says, you know why I got you in here? I said, I got a good idea. He says, your promotion come through.
Oh.
So I almost blew myself in for breaking Army regulations,
Yeah, right.
flying too low. But we had a lot of fun.
Do you have any close calls?
Oh, a lot of them. Yeah, I had brought one in 86, I guess. I had a kid in the back seat up and flying close formation and teaching formation. And he called me on the intercom and said the airplane was on fire in the back. And, so I slowed it up and I went up to about a little higher and slowed up and had him bail out. And so then I brought it in and landed in the sod field.
It was on fire?
Mm-hmm. The back was on fire. And I told him to take the fire extinguisher, see if he could do anything, but he couldn't. It was getting too hot.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
I seen a good field down there, and I didn't want to trust the parachute either, you know.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe I could save the government some money and bring the airplane in. And I think by the time I touched down, I must have been slowed down about 50 or 60. It was getting pretty hot, so I did jump off the wing about that time and rolled up, rolled quite a bit.
Wow. Did it just completely burn up then, or?
Mostly, yeah. I called in before I landed, to tell them where I was going to set it in, so they had the fire trucks over there almost about the time I touched down. So
The fellow that bailed out was okay?
yeah, fine. Yeah, because I watched him go off and I kicked the tail out of his way, so I'll make sure he get tangled in that.
Right. Yeah.
And so he cleared the tail, and I told him count 1, 2, 3, but he pulled a ripcord as soon as he got on the wing.
How high were you?
Over about 8,000.
Oh, okay. So
I had a lot of time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was pretty scary. Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
Was it hard to go up the next day or the next time you went up?
Not really.
After something like
Not
that?
really. I just, I guess you're back in those days. You're young and crazy and didn't hurt. And I know when the wife, my mother, came down for graduation. I think it was on the day before graduation. I was up in a I think it was a P-40 that time. And after takeoff, you know, you break your wheel, so the tires don't wear out when they hit the pans.
Yeah.
So after that, I broke the wheels. I didn't know at the time, but I jammed one of the brakes on the right-hand side. Well, the bolt came loose or something, broke in behind the land thing there. So I came in for a landing, and I set it down the runway, and immediately started cartwheel. So I gave it the throttle, and I got off the ground, and I was heading right for a mobile tower. And I know if I kept it under there, I'd have killed them people. And so I kicked it into the ground, and I rolled that one up. But and they tried to claim it was being I was a brand new pilot air, and it happened to be that there was a lot of brass out in the mobile tower that day. And the colonel there says, no, he said, he had that plane under control. He said, when he come down and touched, he said, that completely made a left turn. He said, as if a brake or something was locked. And he said he got it up off the ground again. It was heading right for us, and then he dove the thing just because he didn't have enough flying speed to get up to stay away from the tower.
Yeah.
So he insisted the plane be analyzed. And so I'd have probably still been paying for that. And they did find a defective brake.
Oh, wow, yeah. Did that jar you pretty good when you hit the ground, or?
Oh, a little bit, yeah. Mm-hmm. But like when you're 20-some years old, you're young and agile.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I've done a lot of sports before this, was in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Talking about the P-40, how did you like flying that plane?
Very nice airplane. Mm-hmm.
There's one right behind you there a little bit. Was that the kind that had the same kind of canopy when
Yeah,
you flew it?
same thing.
How could you see pretty well out of it?
Very good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I flew them for a while, and the 51 I like a lot better.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little more maneuverable.
Yeah. Now the P-51, did it have the bubble canopy when you first did it? The 51 or with the Razorback?
The Razorback.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the first ones.
Yeah.
And
So so you've got your wings now, and so did you stay at that at the base that you were at?
yeah, at Craigfield.
Craigfield, right?
And then I was, I think, instructor just a few months, and I was, when I got to my mailbox, and they said that I had been upgraded to squadron commander. And I said, I ain't got enough experience for that. You know, I've been flying that long to check right all those students and make sure that they're qualified and stuff. But this Captain Lucky, I can remember, he was a commanding officer before, and he was taken off on another assignment. And he said, no, I said, you can handle the job good. And what you do, it turned out to be a good job.
Yeah.
We turned out a lot of good cadets, and they went overseas and came back and had a lot of medals and stayed pretty safe.
That's good. Could you tell, when would you get the cadet? Would you get him, how much training had he had by the time you got hold of him?
He had primary and he had primary and basic, and then he went to advanced.
Okay. Now, once he got, did any of them ever wash out after that point in time?
Oh yeah, a lot of them did, because they were maybe too mechanical. In other words, we had one, I can remember this one cadet, he was a very nice cadet, and he was a lot of fun and everything. I hate to see him go, but he actually, I noticed on his coveralls, his flying suit, that he had marks on it. And he had that thing down, so when he got down and started coming in for a landing, he was supposed to have the stick here and here and here, and he did nothing, which was automatic, you know, he just was very mechanical. And he just had a bad trying to land the airplane, so he'd fly into the ground sometime, and so I had to take him up on a checkout ride, which I hated to do. When I found out to save his own neck and somebody else's, he had to let him go.
Yeah.
And there was some you had to let go.
Could you detect that pretty early on with these guys, or did it take a while to?
It took a little while, because in some maneuvers they were pretty good, up in the air, but when they got near the ground, some of them would sort of freeze up.
Yeah.
They just wasn't relaxed. And I guess I was just the opposite, because I always figured when I rolled in on the final approach, I mean, I had it made, you know?
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of confidence that I could put it right down.
For you, it was almost like driving a car, I
That's
guess.
right.
You know,
Just,
once you kind of learn,
just
you're
automatic.
just automatic. You don't even think about it.
Yeah.
You just do it.
But some people,
Yeah.
they just didn't relax enough to do it right.
Now, so did you go to another training field after that one, or did you stay there the whole time?
I stayed there until I went to Randolph Field.
It's in Texas.
Texas.
Right? San
And,
Antonio, is it?
That was, I think that was 44 or something like that. And I think they happened to notice on my Army papers that I had a couple of years in French in high school, so they figured I was qualified to teach French cadets.
Oh, okay.
So I did that for a while.
How was that?
That was very good. Yeah, that was a little hard to, with the language barrier, because I didn't speak that good of French, but
Yeah.
But it got along fine.
They were pretty eager and
Yeah,
enthusiastic
yeah,
and stuff.
They were eager to learn mhm.
Now they, no, okay, 44. Well, by that time we liberated Paris and stuff. I mean, where did they get these guys? I guess was my question.
Well, it was on this here lend lease deal. I mean, and we were sending at that time we were sending P-39s to Russia because most of our pilots here didn't like the P-39 because it was a very heavy airplane. It was very unstable in the air because we had so much armor plate behind the seats and everything else that you got the speed down below a certain flight speed. I mean, the thing would actually tumble in the air, and so it was dangerous. And used to call it the flying coffin.
Yeah.
The guys didn't like it.
Yeah.
And so we ended up sending them to Russia, and Russia took all the armor plate up and made it a pretty good airplane because they didn't care if a pilot got shot or not. You know?
Yeah.
And
they used them against the tanks a lot too,
right,
didn't they? They did very well with it. Yeah.
So it worked out pretty good that way.
Yeah.
And then after the war there, I came back home, and Bell Aircraft was on the same field that I started my flying business. And I went into, I finally started a couple airplanes. I built it up to about 22.
Oh, did you for like teaching people to fly or
Yeah.
okay?
And I got
Flying school.
Yeah, I got a GI Bill, and I was teaching the veterans how to fly under the GI Bill.
Yeah.
And I had a flying ambulance service that I used between New York City and Miami and stuff like that to fly patients back when they got sick
Yeah.
down there. And I had a gurney in there so I could elevate it. When I was going in for a landing up, I could keep the patient level. And so did that, and I had a freight service, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. What kind of planes did you?
Yeah, I had everything there. I had Lockheed Lodestars. I had a couple of them. I had an airline between Niagara Falls and New York City.
And where were you living at this time?
Niagara Falls.
In Niagara Falls.
Mhm. And then I had Piper Cubs and Ronkas and Cessnas and just a little bit of everything.
How many people did you have working for you?
Oh, I had about 3 pilots and half a dozen mechanics, and then that went along good. And then after that, I would teach these students, and then through the GI Bill, and set them up with airline jobs. And most of them got into airline.
Any crashes with any of
No,
any
we
of your
had
planes?
one where a student came out and took a plane without checking it out.
Oh.
He, I guess, was up drinking or something, and he come out there, and the airport was closed at this particular time, and it had a low ceiling. And so the tower called up and said, one of your planes didn't recognize our call, and we told them not to take off the airplane. I said, I didn't let nobody out. Good thing I did. They notified CAA right away. Well, he went over and he was diving over top of his girlfriend's house or something, over at Grand Island, I guess it was, and he ended up in the backyard, so he did get killed.
Oh.
And they sued me for a couple $1 million, which the insurance company settled for $25,000. And I said, why did you do that? Because they stole the airplane. They said, well, it was cheaper for us to settle for $25 and go to court and maybe lose the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So how many years did you have your business?
oh, I had that for 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh.
About then.
Then what did you do after that?
Then I went into electrical work, electrical construction.
Did you still fly for fun after
Yeah,
that?
and I stayed in the Air Force Reserve for a while, and then I got my captain commission in the reserve. And I flew right because when we had our airport, our school at Niagara Falls Airport, right across the street was Air Force Reserve. So I'd get so many hours in a month and get your flight pay, and it worked out nice.
That's good. So did you sell your business then, or what?
Well, when the GI Bill folded up, that finally came along where they cut the GI Bill out, so then I sold all the airplanes out because there wasn't enough private business to stay in business.
I see.
Because 90% of my business was with GI, because I probably had 150, 200 students, and it was mostly under the GI. And
Yeah. I didn't realize, I mean, you hear the GI Bill, guys going to college and things like that, but I didn't know that it applied to
Yeah.
this sort of stuff.
But it was too expensive for, like I had twin-engine airplanes, which would, back in those days, I think we charged $50, $60 an hour for a twin-engine. I think that was a Cessna's, twin-engine Cessna. And for the regular, it was around 15 to 20. I think it started out about 12. That the average person back there was working for $20 a week, you know,
Yeah.
and
Right.
they couldn't afford it. So when the GI Bill presented itself, I got set up and I did a lot of hard work to cut away parts of engines and aircraft, and so I could teach them the aircraft and engines and teach them navigation. And I finally hired a director from Niagara University to be the director of the school, and set up a pretty good school.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Yeah.
I bet you enjoyed that.
Worked out good.
Yeah. And so then you went to the electrical business. Is that what you did the rest of your life then?
Yeah.
As far as- And
Yeah.
you're retired now?
Yeah, I've been retired for about 20 years now, 18 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. Now, how long did you live in Niagara Falls all this time?
No, we came out here to the West Coast in about 1966.
Oh.
And then I worked for a company and did a lot of big buildings,
Where was
high
that?
rises in Niagara, in Los Angeles and Burbank and that area.
And now you're out of Sun City here
Mhm.
and the Del Webbs. And did you buy a place there then just recently or?
Yeah, we bought there 8 years ago.
Oh, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So you play golf there too?
Yeah, I played a lot of golf. I used to
Yeah.
play 3 or 4 days a week and
Yeah, I
cut
mean-
down a little bit now.
You guys have any children?
Yeah, I have two, a daughter and a son. And my daughter's teaches Orange Coast College, and my son has his own league practice in Lancaster. He's a paralegal. He has his evictions and whatever.
Any grandchildren?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How many of those do you have?
One.
Yeah. Good. So do you get to see your kids?
Yeah,
quite a
fine.
bit?
Yeah, they come down all the time, especially for Father's Day and special events.
Well, gee, that's really interesting,
Yeah,
Chuck. It's
thank
sure
you.
nice talking
Yeah.
to you. Yeah. Anything else you can think of?
No,
you
the only
wanna-
thing is, Howie, when I first started out to gain money to get my business going, I used to do a lot of barnstorming.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And some of the crazy stuff.
Go to the little towns and take people up?
Yeah, well, not only that, but they'd put on an air show and then they have a free ride to the oldest old woman in the crowd or something, so I'd be the old woman, and they put me in the back seat, and
Oh, you would dress up like a...
Yeah. It was a Piper Cub. Get in the back seat and you taxi out there in front of the grandstand, and the instructor would cut the engine off and make believe it stalls, and he'd have the old woman tell her to hold the brakes, you know, and or he got up and spun the prop, and so she'd jam the throttle, almost run over him, and go up through the sod and get off the ground, and
Take off by yourself.
take off, and then they're screaming, and they run the ambulance out and everything, because the old woman up there by herself, and so I had to go up about 500 feet and stall it out, and come down and hit the ground with one wheel and break the wheel, because they just had the bungee cords on them.
Oh.
I break a wheel off, and I go up and I make another crazy maneuver and install it and come down and break the other one off, and then I come in and land across 2 pickup trucks.
You would do what now?
Landed on 2 pickup trucks going down the runway.
Oh, is that right?
Set the wing on it.
No kidding.
Yeah, I
And
did that once, yeah.
it would stay there?
Yeah.
Jeez.
You see it come in pretty slow.
Yeah, well,
You really go about 30 miles an hour.
that's about like Joey Chitwood and those automobile daredevils that I
Yeah.
used to see when I was a kid, but I never
Yeah.
saw any planes do that. That's funny. So then, did people ever realize that
Oh,
it
yeah.
was a...
Oh, yeah. When they run the ambulance out and everything, then they know the maneuver.
Yeah,
Because when she'd hit the ground, they knew that she'd never got back up again.
all right.
Yeah.
That's
That's
so
great.
where, all around New York, or where
No,
did you...
I just did it a few times in the field I was on.
Oh, at your
Yeah.
place. Oh, you would have,
Yeah,
you'd
yeah.
have your, yeah.
We used to do a lot of crazy things, like we'd have a bet, you know, that I could back an airplane up through the air, and say, you know, people say, oh, you couldn't do that. So we could take off and fly down the end of the runway, and by that, maybe you'd have about a 40, 50 mile an hour wind that day you did that. So you just pull the nose up in a partial stall, and you back up through the air and come in and land it.
Oh, is that right?
Because you're actually going backwards in the air.
I'll do that.
They still had their lift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And so you used Piper Cubs for you when you did that, pretty much?
That was just a Piper Cub, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was,
Was that the most acrobatic plane that you had flown, or?
no, I think the most acrobatic plane is 86 as far
Was
as
it?
now. And also the Stearman too is very
Yeah.
acrobatic, yeah. But you could do almost everything in the Stearman.
Yeah.
I liked that plane, it was a good acrobatic plane.
Okay, well, Chuck,
Thank you very much.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Glad you
I
came
didn't
in.
want to tell all that, Bill, but.
No, I'm glad. That's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.